Oh, are we good if we hit the live button? Yeah, we look good now. Alright, so welcome to race number 23 of 29 in the 1989 throwbacks. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties there. Sometimes the streaming software is not the best. But anyways, we have a 17-point difference between the 2 points leaders here. That has not changed from last week. So Tim Richmond and Bill Elliott continue to battle it out to see who's going to win their second career championship. Pretty much everyone else is in a battle for third position in points. You can see just how close some of these position battles are. 22 points, 12 points, 9 points, 2 points, another 27, a 2, a 23. There's plenty of positions up for grabs still. We're heading out to Dover, which was won by Ken Schrader. That was his first win of his career. He finally nabbed that at Dover earlier this season, and he did so in very convincing fashion. Now, usually when we come here to Dover, we would have Cale Yarborough doing extremely well during the fall Dover race. We'll see if something similar happens this time around. Well, obviously, Cale Yarborough isn't racing, but potentially maybe his team could do well, so Dale Jarrett perhaps. On the pole, it's going to be Rusty Wallace is going to be sitting on the pole with a speed of 146.945 miles an hour, which is pretty fast. I think we can safely say that's pretty good. So we have Rusty Wallace, he's on pole. Tim Richmond will be starting second. Ken Schrader third, and Darrell Waltrip fourth. Well, there's Hendrick. In fifth, we have Davey Allison, impressive qualifying position for him. Sixth will be Terry Labonte. In seventh, we have Jeff Bodine, and eighth, Ricky Rudd. And in ninth, we have another surprise qualifier, Alan Kowicki. And rounding out the top 10, we'll have Phil Parsons. Both Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt will be starting outside of the top 10, starting 11th and 12th respectively. We'll see how that plays into points. Here's the command. The command's been given, and the pace car is going to go off any time now. There it goes. You can see every car gets going, clean, smooth, nice and easy. Should be an interesting race around this high banked 1 mile oval. It's one of NASCAR's more difficult tracks to deal with, but looks like we're going to be dealing with it here today. Cars are now coming down the front straightaway, and the green flag is out here from Dover. The Dover Downs International Speedway. And you can see the pace car pulling in there. And you can see Rusty Wallace. He's going to take a quick and early lead off of turn one. Oh, wow. Ricky Rudd getting way up and almost into the wall there. That couldn't have been good for Rudd. Meanwhile, it looks like Wallace, he's going to get a clean drive off of turn 4, and he's going to lead lap number 1. Rusty Wallace, he had such a rocky start to the season. He's really trying to finish strong. Ken Schrader, your spring winner, is in second. In third place is Darrell Waltrip, and here comes Waltrip down to the bottom. The caution is out. You see all the smoke around. So Darrell Waltrip will take the second position. They come off of turn number 4, and we'll figure out what the caution is for, and it looks like Brett Bodine is all sorts of beat up. So we'll figure out what happened here with Brett Bodine. So we'll see here, yeah, we said that Ricky Rudd gets into the wall here. I knew that was going to be a problem. He knocks Dale Earnhardt right into Brett Bodine. It looks like Jeff Purvis also gets off the inside wall good, and wow, Purvis really hard into Brett Bodine there. Richard Petty also hitting hard. See here, Richard Petty did not get a good qualifying position. And you can see everyone kind of spinning around. Yeah, Richard Petty got hit hard. You can see Mickey Gibbs up there in the 48. He's spinning out. There's Chad Little in the 90. He's not doing too well. And all that brings out the yellow flag. And here comes pit stops. So we'll see how pit stops work out. This track has some of the tightest pit stalls in NASCAR. And there you go. Rusty Wallace will get out first. Ken Schrader second. Looks like Davey Allison third, Tim Richmond fourth, and Bill Elliott fifth. But the wild card, Darrell Waltrip, he will stay out, and he's going to take those 5 bonus points for leading those laps. Now, we only had 2 laps of green flag racing, so it's really unknown how much. Well, none of the leaders came down pit road, took tires anyways. That was all splash and goes from what I saw. So that was pretty much a fuel strategy stop rather than a tire stop. So everyone's still on their same cycle of tires, but Darrell Waltrip just opted not to pit, and it looked like he was the only one that opted not to pit, as he is the only driver that is up front. So we'll see how much that fuel strategy comes into play later on in this race. This is usually a multiple pit stop race, usually a pretty long one as well. And we'll see what happens here with the Darrell Waltrip. Remember, he got a win earlier on in this season. He got that win at Bristol. That's right. Got that win at Bristol, won it from the pole. And now here he's coming to Dover trying to pick up his first multiple win season since 1985. I mean 1986 rather. Oops. Of course, he had no wins in 1987, only 1 win in 1988. If he were to win today, it would be career victory number 74 for Darrell Waltrip. Still a long way from the greats of Bobby Allison and Cale Yarborough, who were both in the 80s. Cale Yarborough is at 80, Bobby Allison 85. The lights have shut off on the pace car, as it looks like we're about to go green here. Your top 10 is going to be as follows. So Darrell Waltrip is your leader. Then we have Rusty Wallace in second, Ken Schrader third, Davey Allison fourth, Tim Richmond fifth, Bill Elliott sixth, Jeff Bodine seventh, Phil Parsons eighth, Kyle Petty in ninth, and Morgan Shepherd will round out the top 10. So we definitely have some short trackers up towards the front here. And we were talking about how Cale Yarborough always used to do really well here during the fall race. Dale Jarrett up to 14th. So that number 29 machine might be moving towards the top 10. We'll have to see. The pace car dives off into pit road. And they come on down to the front straightaway. Waltrip will lead them for the green flag. Here are lap number 7 of 125 today. Ken Schrader trying to make an immediate move. He can't get the job done, but Richmond will be able to get the job done. You saw Elliott. He tried to move underneath Richmond. He couldn't do that. And now here comes Jeff Bodine. He's going to move underneath Elliott. That is huge. That is going to put Elliott on the outside lane, which is really unfavorable at this track, and allow Tim Richmond to get away. And that is some major points implications there. If Elliott can't make these positions back up, of course, it's very, very early in the race. Meanwhile, we got 3 wide going on here. Whoa, Morgan Shepherd kind of clipping the wall there. As Alan Kowicki's just trying to move back into the top 10. You can see Sterling Marlin in the back there. He's also trying to get to the top 10. Sterling Marlin having a little bit of a letdown season, but everything seems to be going okay now. And you can see Alan Kulwicki moving around Davey Ellison and Bill Elliott. And there goes Sterling Marlin to the bottom. And they're going to go 3 wide in turn 3. Elliott's still trying to find the bottom of the course. He still can't find it. It looks like he's going to burn Marlin off of turn 4, though. And he's going to take the inside line. So Elliott finally finds his way to the bottom. But Tim Richmond's all the way up into 4th now. Meanwhile, your leader, Darrell Waltrip, he has started to pull away. Darrell Waltrip continues to lead here at Dover. It seems like that pit strategy worked out for him quite well. Maybe the 1 gallon less of gas that he has in his car makes that car just a little bit lighter, makes it just a little bit faster. Well, we'll see how that plays out in the strategy later on, because he's not going to have as much fuel in the car, obviously. He's not going to be able to go as far on this run. So that means that he's going to drag all the leaders down onto pit road a couple laps earlier than they would. That could play out to Waltrip's advantage if they don't pit right with him. As remember, one of the things about Dover is that it is so treacherous on tires. Oh, so treacherous on tires. And here, it looks like Hendrick Motorsports is going to go 1, 2, 3, as Ken Schrader and Tim Richmond both get around Rusty Wallace there. And you can definitely say that Jeff Bodine is coming as well. Man, Hendrick looks really, really, really good at times. But here comes Phil Parsons down to the bottom. Parsons has had a couple of really good showings here at this track. And there you can see Parsons is going to be able to make the move on Jeff Bodine. So Phil Parsons will move into the 5th position. And now here comes Wallace. He's trying to get his positions back. He's able to get around Ken Schrader. And now he wants to run down Tim Richmond, try to get around him as well. We'll see how well that works out for him. Schrader trying to go high. He can't get the job done. Meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip, he continues to be large and in charge, and he's actually pulling away from everybody right now. If we take a look at the fastest lap charts, it really is not close right now. Darrell Waltrip is leaps and bounds faster than every other car on the track right now. Look at that, a full 0.6 of a mile an hour faster than Jeff Bodine. That is absolutely crazy. And another thing you have to consider is just look at the top 3 cars there. Hendrick, and Hendrick. So it's very clear who's got the good package here today. Here what you're looking at right now is the battle for 7th. Now there's big points implications here. Elliott 2nd in points. He's trying to run down Tim Richmond. Richmond obviously has a very, very strong car today. So he's going to want, he's up in 2nd right now. He's going to want to get to that lead as soon as possible if he can. Of course, you don't want to burn out your tires too much here at this track. Oh boy, Dover, you can really burn out your tires quick. So if you start pushing your car to try to make up that 2-second deficit, it can really take a toll on your tires, and it can actually end up hurting you in the long run. Here you can see Elliott pushing Kulwicki up the track a little bit, trying to get him up into the gray. And it's all good. Elliott's got the position. So that's going to put Elliott into 7th. And as of right now, you would think, oh, 7th place, Elliott's looking pretty good right now. But Tim Richmond running 2nd is really going to put a hamper on anything Elliott has to say for the championship, especially if it ends up like this. Well, the good news for Elliott right now is that Tim Richmond is probably not going to run down Waltrip, at least not on this set of tires. Richmond is catching Waltrip right now, but you also got to remember that the more that Richmond tries to catch Waltrip, the more he's going to run down those tires, and the slower he's actually going to become. So you got to be really careful about how much you use your tires. And right now, it's just not looking feasible. 17's out there. He's conserving his tires. Meanwhile, the 25 is really pushing the hell out of his tires. So you just got to be thinking about this from every single perspective. Lap traffic seems like it's definitely going to be on the way soon. Right now, 36 drivers are on the track. Brett Bodine, Jeff Purvis, and Richard Petty have all retired due to the accident that happened on lap number 1. Well, what we're seeing here is Dover is not very conducive to passing, and usually it isn't. This is a very tight groove track. You don't usually see a lot of multi-groove racing here. Pretty much it's put it as close to the white line as you possibly can. And that can be quite difficult at times. You can see here Phil Parsons, he wants to go. He wants to get by Ken Schrader here. Schrader obviously not having the car that he did the last time we came here to Dover. But then again, we'll see what happens during pit stops. Schrader's crew has been really, really good at giving him chances to win this year. Yeah, I remember Schrader was given chances to win at both Michigan races, and unfortunately he fumbled both of those attempts. Parsons still trying to get around that 35 machine. And it's just proven to be difficult. Schrader's putting a lot of excellent blocking moves on him right now, and it's just being a hassle. There he goes. Schrader slides up the track, and here comes Parsons. Is Parsons going to have enough momentum going into turn 3 to make the move, though? Oh, he got the door slammed shut on him. Man, this is some good racing here, folks. Right now, you're watching the battle for 4th. Ken Schrader is in the green and gold Chevrolet. Phil Parsons in the white and black Oldsmobile. You can see here Phil Parsons, he's got a clearly faster car, and you can see Ken Schrader, he keeps on getting loose in the middle of the corner. Parsons wants to go. Schrader isn't going to let him. And the longer that Schrader keeps that 55 behind him, the more that the 55 is going to use up his tires, and the more that the 55 is going to become slower. And oh, Phil Parsons almost getting to the bumper of the 35 there. Parsons is really trying to move the 35 right now. Is not exactly proving to be too effective right now. Phil Parsons trying to find any way to get around Ken Schrader here. And Parsons has a fast car, but it doesn't look like that there's going to be much passing going on here, at least on this first set of tires. Oh, it looked like Parsons got to the bumper there. I'm surprised Schrader didn't slide up the track more than he did. This is some really good racing composure here by Ken Schrader. Both here, Schrader and Parsons. You know, they might be relative rookies to the league. Phil Parsons coming up in 1984. Schrader coming up in 1985. So they've been around for a little bit, but they're still relatively new. However, these guys are racing like they've got 10, 15 years of experience of racing underneath their belt. And here, Parsons, that wouldn't have been a good move, trying to use Chad Little as a pick. And here we go. Schrader moved up the track because of Chad Little. Parsons is going to try to make the move again. Can he get it? Not quite. And Schrader is acting like a 15-year vet right now. He's putting up an excellent battle against Phil Parsons. And oh, that's probably going to do it. No, Schrader's still got the position for now. Parsons is going to try to beat him down into 3 again, and again Parsons is denied. Wow. Some crazy racing here from Dover. Oh, you can see Parsons, he may have gotten into the side of that last car there. He may have gotten into the side of Dave Marcus. You can see a little damage on the side of his car. I mean, Phil Parsons might have gotten into the side of Ken Schrader, rather. Wasn't visible from that angle. You'll see it from this angle here. You can see that there's a little bit of damage on the side of that car. Well, the side of the 35's looking clean. Maybe he kissed the wall somewhere. I'm not 100% sure what happened to Phil, but... Oh, almost again to the bumper. And Elliott, he wants to go around both of these guys. Elliott does not want to mess around. Oh, absolutely not. Elliott doesn't just want to get around these guys. He needs to get around these guys. It doesn't matter how fast of a car Elliott has. He's got to finish within a few positions of Tim Richmond. Yeah, because as of right now, Bill Elliott, he is going to lose 20 points to Tim Richmond if everything holds true right now. However, if he can get around Phil Parsons and Ken Schrader, that'll put him to only losing 10 points to Tim Richmond. That means he'll only be 27 points behind Richmond going into the next race. And that will be oh so important. Every single point is precious. And right now, remember, the only 2 drivers to have led laps thus far is the 27 of Wallace and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip. Look at this move here by Parsons. Wow. He closed right in on the 35 there. Oh, contact. The 35's in the wall with the 48. Yeah, there's a mistake for you. Wow. Schrader finally messed up. What excellent driving there by Phil Parsons. And sometimes you just got to keep the pressure going on the driver, and there you saw the 35, he got into the wall, he got into lap traffic. It took him around, but however... Parsons has got to put his head down now. He's got to keep on chugging. He's up in a 4th, but man, he's got a very hungry driver behind him in the form of Bill Elliott. Now we'll see how quickly Elliott disposes of Phil Parsons here. Can't imagine the speed difference is going to be too great, but we'll see. Elliott trying to close in on Phil Parsons here. This has been a really good battle. We can go back a little bit here, and we can see Jeff Bodine trying to hold off teammate Ken Schrader. Remember, he just got into the wall with the 48, but it looks like I don't see any tire rubs or anything like that, so he's still good to go. Car still seems to be running straight. So no problems there. Meanwhile, Elliott's right on the back of the 55, and here he goes. He's going to try to get around him. So Ken Schrader's mistake is going to allow Elliott to get up into 4th now, after what was really not a good start for Elliott. Now Elliott's getting held up here by Derek Cope. We'll see just how fast that 9 car is as he tries to reel in the 27 of Wallace. And here, Phil Parsons, he's putting the pressure on Elliott. Parsons is showing that he's got the car as well. And look at this move. Wow. Phil Parsons there that goes to 27 down pit road. So pit stops are starting. The 27 is going to have a huge advantage because he's pit first. So Phil Parsons is going to go right back around Bill Elliott. Here comes Waltrip. Waltrip's coming down pit road. I think it's imperative that Richmond stays out, and he indeed will. Tim Richmond will get the 5 bonus points for staying out. That is absolutely crucial. Elliott stayed out as well, so it might be imperative that Elliott's got to be like, hey, now I've got to stay out. Now I got to stay out. So we'll see if Elliott stays out here or not. He will not. So Tim Richmond just opts to come down pit road. And now we'll look for that 27 car. There he is, Rusty Wallace. We'll see just how much of an advantage that one lap was for Rusty Wallace. I imagine it's going to be huge, but we'll see. No one coming out yet. And new tires are always a huge deal here at Dover. You can see Wallace coming up on Bobby Hill in there. And there they go, right around. Richmond and Elliott come out bumper to bumper. That's interesting. Meanwhile, here's Rusty Wallace. He's trying to get around the lapped car of Hillen. And now we're going to see... It looks like your leader is going to still be the 17 of Darrell Waltrip. So he's way, way, way out in front of everybody right now. Trying to figure out just how far out in front Darrell Waltrip is, but he's got change, no doubt about that. He's actually about to put 19th a lap down here if he can get around Eddie Bierschwale. And indeed, he's going to put 19th, 1 lap down there. So that should tell you just how far out in front he is. Here's Tim Richmond. He's going to fall back to 4th because here comes Terry Labonte down on the inside. He's having a good day. And now here comes Elliott. Now if everything stays the way that it is, and you know things definitely never will. I mean, we still have a whole nother pit stop yet in this race. Now if things stay the way it is, and now here comes Davey Allison down to the bottom. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about that. And indeed he won't. Alan Kowicki is still on pit road. That can't be good for Alan. But anyways, if things stay the way that they are right now, it's still a 17-point gap between Elliott and Richmond. Tim Richmond, he got 5 bonus points for leading that lap. That was absolutely crucial, absolutely huge. If he didn't lead that lap, that just would have sent everything into a whirlwind. And there goes Elliott. Elliott's going to go down to the bottom, and that's actually going to shrink the points gap down to 12. So Elliott is in 3rd, Labonte 4th, Richmond is in 5th. We're pretty much watching the points battle right now. This is not the battle for the lead. Your leader is the 17 of Darrell Waltrip. He's way out in front of everybody. And in 2nd is Rusty Wallace, who is also way out in front of these guys. Contact between Elliott and Dick Trickle. Things are getting dicey out there on the track, I'm telling you. Elliott may be getting impatient, just trying his best to get as far away from that 25 car as he can. Meanwhile, Tim Richmond is trying to find anything he can do to get around Terry Labonte. If Richmond can get it back out in front of Terry Labonte, the points gap will be back at 17. Can you imagine that? The points gap being the exact same for 3 straight races between these two? Just shows you just how evenly matched this points battle is. And remember, Bill Elliott, his strength is super speedways. Tim Richmond's strength is on the short tracks. So you gotta say here, advantage Tim Richmond. Well, we don't really know how Phoenix plays out yet. Remember, that only debuted last year. So we don't really know how Phoenix plays out. But at both Atlanta and Charlotte are tracks that Elliott is pretty good at. So you got to keep that in mind. Elliott's pretty good at both of those tracks. But then you take a look at Martinsville. That's a track that Tim Richmond has dominated at. I mean dominated. He's the proverbial king of Martinsville, pretty much. I don't know, though. Darrell Waltrip's looking pretty convincing right now if we want to scroll way up to where he is. Here we go. Here's the 17. This is your leader, Darrell Waltrip. He took the lead on lap number 4, I think it was, away from Rusty Wallace during a pit strategy gain. And ever since then, he hasn't looked back. He's only relinquished the lead once, and that was during a pit stop cycle. And that gave the lead over to Tim Richmond. Other than that, it's pretty much been all Waltrip today. No, we've really been wondering, where is Darrell Waltrip? Where has Darrell Waltrip been? He's been in the shadows, sleeping, waiting. And you gotta say that this has been a really good resurgence season for him. I mean, he was as high as 3rd in the points earlier on, and unfortunately a DNF last week cost him that. But here he can very easily start walking up towards being 3rd in points again. I mean, here you have Dale Earnhardt. He's in 7th right now, so Earnhardt isn't looking too hot today. Meanwhile, Waltrip is just dominating this race. Oh, Lake Speed getting on the apron here. Oh, this is a cluster. The points gap right now is 17 between Elliott and Richmond. Richmond has the advantage. All those cars that you see around Elliott, none of them are for position. Meanwhile, you see the 11 behind the 25. That is for position. If Terry Labonte is able to get around Richmond, that's 5 less points Richmond will have at the end of this race if it stays the way it is. And that will cut the points lead down to 12. As surprising as this may sound, Darrell Waltrip still has not clinched the most laps led yet, so if some sort of freak caution happens here towards right around now, and let's say Wallace or Elliott is able to take the lead on the restart, anyone can still go out there and claim the 5 bonus points from the most laps led. Darrell Waltrip doesn't actually clinch that title for another few laps, so yeah, I think he's got another 10 laps before he officially clinches that title. Indeed. So keep that in mind. Now, right now, Tim Richmond, he's pulled out a big gap on Terry Labonte. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about Terry Labonte taking that position away from him anymore. Meanwhile, Elliott trying to run through heavy lap traffic here. It's really not working well, but Elliott is catching the 27 at a pretty good pace, and I think that means that he's catching the 17 as well. You gotta imagine, you know, bobbing and weaving through all this traffic. You know, he's gotta be burning up his tires. Yeah, he's going to have to be very, very careful about how he manages his tires here on these long runs. Now here you can see Wallace. Normally you would think that the 7 and the 26 are battling for position. However, the 26 is actually in 16th, a lap down, and the 7 is actually 5 laps down in 35th. Oof. So Kowicki not exactly doing the greatest. Ricky Rudd might actually have a faster car here. Now we take a look at the fastest laps, and this one surprised me. Jeff Bodine is now the fastest car on this track. What? And yeah, Ricky Rudd's speed and Rusty Wallace's speed is very, very comparable to each other. So this doesn't surprise me at all. Now, although the 27's not battling for position, I believe the battle between the 42 and the 26, that is for position, and that will put Ricky Rudd as the last car 1 lap down. Now it's going to take a little bit. He's got a little bit of a gap to get going here. It's about 2 seconds. But if he can get all the way up to 17 and unlap himself, that would be huge for Ricky Rudd. Just get back on that lead lap. Should be known, Rusty Wallace, he's slumping, man. That 9 car is coming. The distance between them is just 1.3 seconds. Now it's 1.4. And every single time it looks like, oh, Wallace is catching, Wallace is catching. No, Waltrip is pulling away. So it's like we're getting a couple hope spots in. No, oh wait, whoa. Wallace is way in on the 17 now. I think Butch Miller really held up the 17 there. We'll see what happens now. Like I said, within a second, you can see Dale Jarrett up here. That's the next car to put a lap down. Dale Jarrett's in 14th. Ricky Rudd is actually coming really quickly. Oh, Rudd is showing that he's got an impressively fast car right now. Look at this. Wow, look at Ricky Rudd. He's got a very fast car. Ricky Rudd about to embarrass the leader as he unlaps himself, and now here comes Wallace. He's going to try to pass Waltrip here. Maybe they made a bad adjustment on the last stop. I'm not 100% sure. But Darrell Waltrip is fading fast. Here comes Rusty Wallace. He's right on the back of the 17. And Elliott's not too far behind either. Waltrip's going to do his best. Remember, he's a 3-time champion of this league. 73 career victories. Here comes Wallace down low. He's gonna get him. There he goes. Wallace back to the point here on lap number 76. And I think that's the exact lap that Wallace needed to pass Darrell Waltrip in order to get the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. So if Rusty Wallace leads every single lap from here on out, I think Rusty Wallace has most laps led. He would. Yeah, he would. He would. In fact, he had the most laps led with a few laps to spare, too. Now, Elliott is ineligible for the title. Yeah, Elliott's not going to be able to get it. Darrell Waltrip, he led 70 laps, rather. Yeah, Darrell Waltrip led 70 laps. So unless Elliott's able to get up here and pass him, which I don't think he's going to be able to do. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Yeah, Darrell Waltrip's clinched most laps led. I'm thinking the race is 150 laps long. It's 125. Oh my god. Oh. The halfway point in the race is lap 63. So yes, Darrell Waltrip's led the most laps. I don't know why I had that brain fart. That was terrible. I'm thinking the race is 150 laps long. Yeah. Yeah, the halfway point is 63 laps. So Waltrip has the most laps led, no matter what. Rusty Wallace, he's your leader now. But now Bill Elliott is closing in. So now Elliott, he's got a 12. He's now only 12 points behind Tim Richmond. If Elliott can get to the point, get that lap lead bonus, and get into the lead, he will be only 2 points behind Richmond as it stands. But of course, Darrell Waltrip, he's fading really fast. So I don't think that's going to stay. So right now, that pass for Rusty Wallace, rather, that pass is worth 10 points for Bill Elliott. Here he goes. He's going to try to go for it in 3. Elliott really desperate for a victory. This will be his 5th win of the year if he's able to hold out for the rest of the race. But here he goes. He's going to take the lead here on lap number 83. Elliott to the point. Wallace second. Waltrip third. Tim Richmond fourth. Tim Richmond third. Waltrip fourth. Jeff Bodine fifth. So there goes everything that I was saying. Yep. So instead of 2 points separating them, now 7 points separates them. And if Tim Richmond can get into second, that will be 12 points separating them. And that would be huge for Richmond. I mean, huge for Elliott, rather. If the points battle is tight as this, man, and with how good Tim Richmond is, Elliott knows he's got to basically win every single race from here on out. Even if he's only got to make up 17 points, man, that's got to just seem like a giant wall to climb for Elliott. That 17 points must just seem like a huge mountain, an insurmountable lead. And it's going to be really difficult. I mean, don't forget, we still got North Wilkesboro. That can be quite the wild card race, along with Charlotte. Both of them can be quite the wild card race. So don't forget that Charlotte and North Wilkesboro. Things happen at those tracks. Bill Elliott trying to put Ricky Rudd back 1 lap down. Right now, 14 drivers are on the lead lap. Ricky Rudd is the last driver on the lead lap. Elliott trying to make it 3 wide. Thought better of it. If Elliott's able to get around Rudd here, that'll put 13 drivers on the lead lap. The last driver on the lead lap will be Neil Bonnet. 22.5 seconds behind the leader, and there he goes. Elliott's going to slip underneath Rudd. And Elliott is going to put Ricky Rudd 1 lap down again. So right now, Elliott's just trying to run away with the lead. Trying to make sure Wallace doesn't win this race. But maybe a bigger incentive for Elliott. Maybe trying to figure out something to prevent Richmond from taking the lead. And now is there... I believe the 27 has hit pit road, so our second round of pit stops is beginning. How much of an advantage will this be for Wallace? Elliott's not coming down pit road, so he's going to deny the 25's opportunity to lead the lap. Oh boy. This is basically human chess at this point. Doesn't matter. They both got the 5 bonus points for leading the lap, so it actually doesn't matter at this point. They both got the 5 bonus points, so I'd come down pit road right now. Elliott's staying out. So is Tim Richmond. Oh boy. This is going to be a huge advantage for Rusty Wallace. He might pull out to a huge lead. Let's see just how big of a lead Wallace will have. Here comes Elliott. He's coming down to pit road this lap. Guess who's staying out? Tim Richmond. He's just got to lead that extra lap. I don't think that was a very smart move tactically by that team, but we'll see what happens. We'll take it. We'll see what happens. Here comes Richmond this time around. Here's the 27 of Rusty Wallace. In front of him, you see the 84 of Dick Trickle. That's a rookie. Wow, he's closing in on him quick. You want to see what new versus old tires is? Boom. You can see Rusty Wallace easily passing Jeff Bodine there. And easily passing Ricky Rudd. Elliott beat him out. Oh boy. Elliott beat him out by a lot. Elliott's going to have cold tires for the first few laps, though, so watch for the 27 to close in. Tim Richmond's going to be far behind. He's going to be way, way behind. It's going to be good enough for third, though. That's all Richmond needs. As long as it's good enough for third. Right now, that's what Richmond has. Good enough for third. Though his teammate, Darrell Waltrip, he's really trying to get around for third right now. Meanwhile, up front, battle for the lead. Rusty Wallace has taken it back. 30 laps to go. Oh boy. So we've got 2 battles to watch simultaneously. Darrell Waltrip has taken the 3rd position away from Tim Richmond. And Rusty Wallace has taken the lead away from Bill Elliott. Now, optimally, we want Elliott, anyways, I shouldn't say we, but Elliott wants to get to the lead, and Tim Richmond stays in 4th. That will put Elliott only 2 points behind Tim Richmond going into the next race. That would just be crazy. 2 points separating them. Just 2. Not to mention that it'll be another good finish for Darrell Waltrip and an okay finish for Dale Earnhardt. Not a bad finish for Jeff Bodine either. The only really big loser today, I think, is Ken Schrader, and he's still in 12th. So he's really the only big loser out of the championship contenders. A huge winner today, though, you have to say, is Sterling Marlin. How about he's up into 8th right now? They've got to be very happy with that performance. Very, very happy with that performance. Right now, Alan Kowicki, he's no longer in dead last. We're now on lap number 100 here from Dover. And looks like this battle back here is heating back up. Oh boy. Richmond is trying to find a way around Darrell Waltrip. I think he might find a way here going into turn 3. Nope, not going to happen. We'll watch this battle here. Right now, the points difference between Bill Elliott and Tim Richmond is 7 to Richmond's advantage. We're really closing in towards the end of this championship. We've got North Wilkesboro, Martinsville, Charlotte, Phoenix, and Atlanta, not necessarily in that order, left in the season to decide the champion. Oh, that's a tight squeeze, 3 wide. Richmond's going to take the position. Wow. So give third place to Tim Richmond, and that'll be 12 points now. Jeff Bodine might start getting involved between these two as well, and that will be big news if Bodine could get around both of these drivers. If Bodine can get around both of them, that'll be really disadvantageous to Tim Richmond. Now, if Tim Richmond finishes in 5th, he could end up losing the points lead. But that would involve Elliott winning, and right now Elliott is not in the lead. And that lead of 0.84 seconds, that lead of about 0.8 of a second has not changed much. We take a look at the fastest lap. Tim Richmond is 4th fastest. Elliott closed in a little bit. Leads now down to 0.6. Just watching Darrell Waltrip here and seeing his teammate, Jeff Bodine, close in. Waltrip's finally clear of that lap traffic. He wants to try to run his teammate back down, try to get back into 3rd. He wants, we heard it from him when he won at Bristol, he wants to try to win the championship this year. He's within striking distance. It's an outside chance, but he is within striking distance. I mean, it would require a decent collapse from both Elliott and Richmond, but nothing that is too unfavorable. Meanwhile, here comes Jeff Bodine. He's going to take the 4th position away from Waltrip. So Waltrip, who dominated the early part of this race, is now falling back to 5th. That's okay. He's got the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. He's fine. Meanwhile, Elliott's trying to run down Rusty Wallace. That's pretty much the only battle left on this track that matters. Wallace is running into some lap traffic, so this is going to be really interesting. Elliott's been running faster lap per lap. And now Elliott's coming up really quick. Ooh, boy, Hutch Strickland really getting close there. He's one of those 2 Rookie of the Year contenders. Oh, look at Dave Marcus way up high. Hutch Strickland in a not so tight Rookie of the Year race against Dick Trickle. Looks like Dick Trickle will almost certainly win Rookie of the Year. Hutch Strickland not exactly setting the world on fire. I mean, it's not even guaranteed that he's going to come back next year. Elliott to the bottom. Here comes Elliott's best chance at retaking the lead. 15 to go when we come to the line. Right now, the points there. There goes Wallace. He slides up the track. Elliott's going to try to sneak in down low, and he can't get it done. Oh, I had to cut myself off mid-sentence. Elliott's not done either. Oh, he shoves the 27 up the track. Here comes Elliott to the bottom. Elliott to the lead. Not quite. Wallace fighting back on the outside. And Wallace is not going to give that lead up easily. Elliott may have taken the lead, but don't think that this battle is done with yet. Wallace is going to try to chase Elliott right back down. Mark my words. This is not over yet. Elliott trying to race like a champion. Right now, the points gap between Elliott and Richmond is 7. That's just crazy. 7. Here, Mickey Gibbs. Oh, contact between Elliott and Gibbs. Elliott may be getting a little impatient. That's not the first time that Gibbs has cut across somebody either. He seems to have been doing that a lot today. Wallace was not close enough to Elliott to really take advantage of that. 11 to go. Can Wallace cut down this gap? 0.3 of a second. Or does Elliott just have the better car? Elliott might just have the better car. It's been a close battle. You can see the next lap traffic up here. Jimmy Spencer, Morgan Shepherd, and they're battling for position. 10 to go. You can just cut the tension with a knife. Wallace is trying to gain his lead back, but it looks like Elliott's pulling away again. Lap traffic will definitely be the deciding factor in this race. Well, Wallace isn't letting him pull away. They ran identical lap times last time. Both of them 143, 432 miles an hour. Identical lap times. That is absolutely insane. Completely identical lap times. That time, it was a slight advantage to Elliott, and I mean slight. These guys are running basically the same exact lap. This is crazy. Elliott drives it in deep. Now here comes the lap traffic. This will be the deciding factor of this race. He's going to go to the inside of Jimmy Spencer here. Spencer's not mucking it up too much. Now Wallace is going to have to deal with Spencer. Elliott's, of course, he's going to get held up here by not just the 75, but he's also going to have to deal with the 51. Might not be able to get around the 75 and the 51, so he's going to really be in a predicament here. He's going to try to make the move. That's a bit risky. He puts the bumper to the back of the 75. It's not going to be useful enough. Here comes Wallace. Wallace is trying to get a move going. He can't do it. Elliott's going to pull away. 5 laps to go. Yeah, it looks like Elliott traversed the lap traffic better. Both of them went through it clean. And I just don't think that Rusty Wallace has enough of an advantage on Elliott to close that 2 or 3 car length gap. Oh boy. Lead is about roughly exactly the same as it was as they came into the lap traffic. I don't think that there will be another piece of lap traffic bothering these guys for the rest of the race. They come to the line, 3 laps to go when they get there. Here they come. 3 to go. This is going to be a close race. Once again, they ran nearly identical lap times. This is insane. By the way, Richmond is the fastest car on the track, but he's 3 seconds back, so that's not going to mean anything. 2 laps to go. And Wallace was a little bit faster that time. Now, Wallace is going to need to be a lot of it faster if he's going to catch him in the next lap and a half. I don't think Wallace is going to be able to get it done, though. It's going to take a really big miracle move from that 2017. Here comes Elliott off of 4. White flag is out. One more lap to go here from Dover. Wallace is faster, but I don't think he's fast enough. You can see him coming off of turn 2 here. Wallace is closing in. It's just not going to be enough to catch Elliott. Elliott's going to be able to hang in there. He's going to come off of turn 4, and he's going to win the Peak Performance 500 for his 5th win of the season. Richmond will be in 3rd, Bodine 4th, and eventually Darrell Waltrip will cross 5th. Wow. That was a really good battle right to the end. No doubt about that. Yeah, we really can't complain about that one. That was really, really good. We'll take a look at the points battle. As we said, it's 7 points. 7 points now separates Elliott and Richmond, and now you can see pretty much everyone else is pretty much 200 plus points out of it. So now you've got Elliott. 5 wins on the season. He doesn't have a pole, and he's only failed to finish 1 race this season. Or do you have Tim Richmond, who's got the most top 5s, the most top 10s out of everybody. Elliott's got a slight edge on laps led. Slight edge on laps led. Oh boy, you can see this. This is an insane battle, and you can see who's really gotten the most poles here. Rusty Wallace. He's really had a resurgence here in the second half of the season, but you can definitely tell what's hampered him. 5 DNFs. You're just not going to get far when you have 5 DNFs, and almost all of them were early on in the season. He just did not look good at all. But anyways, the next race is going to be at Martinsville, and as we discussed, Martinsville is really a big playground for Tim Richmond. So we'll see what happens when we go there next time.